Good. Hey, I'm excited that Coach Rob did not introduce me. This is youth football, and we should all know that in youth football, you do it all yourself. And really, that's the big difference. And so it's very difficult to come out and say, I've gone to a lot of conferences and I see the college coaches and high school football coaches, and they talk about their AV guy and they talk about, their practice coordinator. We had another high school team. We went and watched their system, and they talked about they have 7 people that go out just to place the balls in practice, and they're not even coaches. They're ball placers. We don't have that in youth football. And so you really have to do it all on your own. And so here you are, you're doing this. I want to give you a quick background. For me, my background is I was in the Marine Corps. We're going to see that come out a little later. And for anybody on here, if you're giving me a oorah on your microphone, I didn't hear it, but I'll take it that way. There's always a virtual oorah here or there. I'm certain of it. After that, just working general jobs. I've done years and years of flag football, tackle football 3 years, and then I've done some regional presentations on coaching youth football, and the draw why they like me as a presenter is our offense produced touchdowns from, I think it was 12 different players. And honestly, at the youth level, that's pretty unusual, because youth usually it's all about handing it off to one player and working the workhorse. And so we'll go through some of the practices, the plans we have to involve the whole team, and those come out in other sessions and seminars too. But welcome, thanks for coming, thanks for attending. Youth football is a thankless job, and thank you for coaching. So let me get started right off. The differences we talk about how you're planning in youth football, and I think that your coaching pool, not just you're brilliant and you're all handsome. I mean, that's a given. But after that, I really think that the biggest gap between youth football and even high school football is really the coaching. And it's not necessarily the skill of the coaches, but it's really the availability of the coaches. You've got a full-time job. And it's not just you and the time you have to dedicate, but really my issue was always my assistant coaches. And they want to be there, but their jobs just can't allow for it. And so you, as a head coach, you've got to be conscious of that. And you think, hey, I've got 5 assistant coaches. I've got 7 assistant coaches. No, you probably don't. Not every practice, probably half are going to show up. So you've got to be available, or you've got to be aware of that. And this is a problem that high school, college, pros, they just don't face, that you have to manage as the head coach of a team. So you have to make do. You just don't have a deep pool of applicants. And by that, I'm not knocking any of our coaches. In fact, one of my assistant coaches is actually a college scout. He scouts Colorado for college applicants to go to college out there, but he's scouting the state. So he certainly has a lot of resources and football knowledge, and he played college football. But what I'm saying is, you don't have, as a head coach, you don't have 50 people to pick from. You don't have this line of 50 applicants and then you pick the 7 best coaches. Generally, you're going to have to make do with whatever you have and then work them into your system however you can. So practice helpers, in addition, whether you separate it, and some of the league rules are very different, but whether you're practice helpers, and by practice helper I just mean somebody to hold a bag. You shouldn't be holding bags, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in this bullet, which is, don't think, oh, I'll just hold the bag. Get someone else to hold those bags. You've got coaching to do, and you think you can do it from behind a bag, but you can't do it as well as you can get out and walk around. We've taken moms sometimes. We say, hey, mom, come on here just for this one drill. Out of 2 hours, we might have moms on the field for 5 minutes. But probably 10 to 20% of our assistant coaches really are bag holders and drill helpers. They don't make up offensive plays. They don't call plays in a game. They don't make game plans. They really just come to practice as assistants, and that's very, very helpful. You need them. You can't have too many of those, especially even set up and tear down. So if you're not holding the bag, you're getting one-on-one time with the player. So develop that discipline. Don't be a bag holder yourself. But at the same time as these coaches, I was so concerned. I've got this fire and brimstone coach, and I've got another guy who's they call him a YMCA coach because he wants to hug everybody. And really that gap drives me nuts. And if this were the NFL, I'd fire them both and I'd start all over again. But I've come to appreciate their difference, and I've come to lower our expectations of getting them to agree. Getting these two people to agree is a lost cause. And so generally, as a head coach, I must come in and be the tiebreaker and say, this way we're going to do it, shut up, let's move on. But there is a value, you need that fire and brimstone guy. And at the youth level, you do need that nice guy too. The guys that really do have a soft hand with the kids. You need both sides. Don't be afraid to have them all somewhere in your roster, but you can't have all fire and brimstone guys, and you can't have all huggers out there. So at this level, you're finding out, if you don't already know, the head coach, as much as coaching players, you're coaching coaches.